Hey skincare nerds, welcome back. So today we're going to talk about The Ordinary's vitamin C collection. They have not one, not two, but 8 different vitamin C products. Okay, so technically I know it's only 7 right now because one of them is being reformulated, but still, 7 different vitamin C products from one brand. I mean, I love the choice that you get, and I love that they're all super affordable, but all of the different forms of vitamin C with all of their super scientific sounding names can get really confusing. But I got you covered, because today we're going to break all 7 of them down, everything you need to know about each one of them, so that you can figure out which one is the best one for your skin. Let's get into it. So first of all, do you even need a vitamin C? Well, it's another one of the best active ingredients you can add to your routine because it's another powerhouse multitasking ingredient with lots of well-studied benefits, especially when it comes to the pure form L-ascorbic acid. It protects from UV damage, it increases collagen production, it reduces skin pigmentation, so it's great if you have uneven skin tone and hyperpigmentation, dullness, or you're worried about premature aging. But there is also a downside. The pure form of vitamin C, L-ascorbic acid, is actually unstable when it's formulated in water. So it breaks down easily and oxidizes, and it kind of causes it to look brown. So check out this old vitamin C serum I have. You can see that the color is super dark. So when it looks like that, it's basically useless. That's one of the reasons why some formulas have derivatives of L-ascorbic acid in them instead, to actually make it easier to formulate with and to extend its shelf life. The other reason is L-ascorbic acid can be sensitizing and can cause some irritation and tingling. The problem with derivatives though is that most of them are indirect forms of vitamin C, so they might not be as effective. They're also not as well studied because they just haven't been around as long. Let's start off with the ones that have the pure form of vitamin C, L-ascorbic acid. The 2 strongest ones are the vitamin C suspension 23% plus HA spheres 2% and the vitamin C suspension 30% in silicone. These 2 are quite strong. Most vitamin C serums with this form keep to about 20% and under. They're also some of the most affordable direct vitamin C serums I've seen. They're both $6.80 US, which is pretty incredible. So it's actually really clever that The Ordinary has formulated these in water-free formulations because L-ascorbic acid is unstable in water-based formulas. So by skipping that and not having to deal with shelf life issues, not having to spend all of that time and research to get a nicer water-based serum texture that reduces the price. But on the flip side, to keep the prices low, they've had to compromise with the texture. So with the vitamin C suspension 23% and HA spheres 2%, there's literally L-ascorbic acid powder suspended in the formula, so it won't really feel like any serum, lotion, or cream you've ever used. At first, it feels like an oily gel, but as you start to rub it into your skin, it starts to feel gritty, like sandpaper kind of gritty. That's actually just the powder being deposited onto your skin. So it'll take at least 20 seconds of massaging for it to fully absorb, but then the grittiness does disappear and it leaves both kind of like an occlusive, heavier feeling as well as a powdery matte feeling. If you don't like the finish, you can always use this just at night. And if you don't like the gritty texture or the finish, there's always the vitamin C suspension 30% in silicone. This is very similar because it's also got the L-ascorbic acid powder suspended in it, but it's in a different base. Obviously. The base is dimethicone, a silicone, so it doesn't leave that same gritty feeling. You'll also notice that there's a higher concentration of vitamin C in here. It's 30% instead of 23%. The Ordinary says that's because silicones buffer vitamin C penetration slightly, so they've upped the concentration to compensate for that. This one starts off matte with a slight white cast to it, but it does disappear, and it does leave that oily kind of silicone-y feeling afterwards. Y'all are savage with the ratings on this. It's only rated 3.9 out of 5 on The Ordinary's own site. So why is that? Most of the complaints are about pilling after applying moisturizer, sunscreen, or makeup. Silicone does cause pilling, and this is almost 70% silicone, so I wouldn't recommend this for the daytime because you should be wearing a sunscreen after this, and if you're wearing a sunscreen, it might cause pilling, and pilling just isn't cute. So who are these for? These are gonna be great for you if you've had vitamin C in your routine for a while because direct vitamin C at 23% and 30% is very high. But they're also really well priced, so if you wanna start out with something this strong, start slow and low with a pea-sized amount and mix it into a moisturizer and apply it onto dry skin to start. If your skin is wet, it can increase the absorption and that can lead to irritation. Feeling some tingling is normal when you start. This is strong stuff. So a bit of tingling at the beginning is fine, but burning is not. And also keep this away from your eyes. So these two, like all of their other vitamin C products, other than the powder and the water-based vitamin C, goes after water-based serums like hyaluronic acid. There could be a conflict with their niacinamide though, and there's also a potential conflict with their EUK 134. Okay, so moving on to the 100% L-ascorbic acid powder. This is 100% pure L-ascorbic acid. So do not, I repeat, do not stick your fingers in and try to just stick this all over your face. It's meant to be mixed into one of your favorite treatments like hyaluronic acid. So it does need a little bit of DIY chemistry to work. This is just the basic powder that they get from their supplier, and it's probably what they put into the two suspension formulas we just talked about. Remember that grittiness? So they've basically just repackaged it, but it's definitely an interesting concept because it gives you a lot of control. You can adjust how much powder you want to mix in with this little mini scoop that comes in the box. Whether that amount of control is a good thing or a bad thing really depends on what you're looking for in your skincare. So The Ordinary recommends combining between a quarter to a half a scoop of this with 5 to 10 drops of a serum like the Ordinary Hyaluronic Acid Serum or a pea-sized amount of a cream or lotion. The downside to this is that this is going to be the most finicky option, and it's kind of inconvenient because you can't pre-mix it. You have to use it right away because not only can it oxidize and break down, but it could also affect the effectiveness of your other product's preservative system. It also has the most potential for conflicts with other products like their niacinamide serum, EUK 134, very acidic treatments, and peptides as well. So who is it for? Well, for most of you guys watching this, I really wouldn't recommend it because it is really finicky. So again, unless you're really into tweaking your skincare yourself, you're not afraid of a little bit of chemistry, or you're willing to put up with a lot of trial and error, I wouldn't recommend it. I just think that it's one of those things that sounds like a really fun idea, but if you really think about it, will you really use this? Because I've had it for a few months now, and honestly, I think I've used it once. Okay, so now moving on to the dropper formats, let's talk about the ascorbic acid 8% plus alpha arbutin 2%. This is a really easy one to talk about because it only has 3 ingredients listed: propanediol, L-ascorbic acid, and alpha arbutin. So this does have 8% L-ascorbic acid in it, which is a lower percentage, but it's still that direct, pure form of vitamin C. The lower percentage means it's going to be less potent, but also less irritating than the tube formats. So this is also boosted with alpha arbutin, which is a great ingredient for brightening uneven skin tone and can help with fading dark spots from acne and sun exposure. So it's got the combination of vitamin C and alpha arbutin, which are 2 of the best skin brighteners out there. As for the texture of this, I would say it's definitely a bit unexpected. It feels oily for like 10 seconds until it absorbs, but there's actually no oil in it at all. The base is just propanediol, which is a great hydrator that helps to draw moisture into your skin and also softens your skin, leaving like a really nice, smooth finish. So in terms of irritation, even though this does have a lower concentration of L-ascorbic acid in it at 8%, there's also the 2% alpha arbutin, which can be sensitizing as well, so you still might feel a slight tingle with this, but it really shouldn't be as sensitizing as the higher concentration formulas in the tube formats. To apply, you can use this both in the morning and at night. Just use a few drops, but remember, always be sunscreening. By the way, this one also has a potential conflict with niacinamide serum and the EUK 134. So who's this one for? This formula I think is going to be great for you if you're looking for a vitamin C formula that focuses on fading hyperpigmentation or evening out your skin tone because it's got that alpha arbutin added into it. Okay, so from here we'll move on to the vitamin C derivatives, which are not as well studied, but also tend to be way less sensitizing. They are more expensive than the pure vitamin C products we just talked about, which are all $10 or less. Starting with the Ascorbyl glucoside solution 12%, this is the only water-based serum on the list, and that's because it's formulated with a vitamin C derivative called ascorbyl glucoside, which is stable in water, unlike L-ascorbic acid. So that's really good news if you like water-based serums. This isn't going to break down too quickly on you. It's also not going to be as sensitizing. Plus, it doesn't conflict with any other actives, so you can really use this and mix this with anything. The trade-off though is it's not as potent as direct L-ascorbic acid because it does have to be converted by your skin. So it's not going to give you as much of a direct benefit, and there's also less research on it since it is newer. So in terms of the texture, this is a really lightweight, watery texture, and it absorbs quite quickly into your skin, unlike some of the others we talked about today. And it also leaves your skin feeling smooth and satiny, but I do find that it works best if you use only 1 to 3 drops across your whole face, because if you use too much, it can feel a bit draggy and sticky and almost mask-like. You can also use this both day and night. So who's it for? This is going to be the best one for you if you have really sensitive skin or you want to add a vitamin C into your routine without worrying about what you can mix it with or what you shouldn't mix it with, since it does work well with everything. It isn't the most potent one though, so it will take a bit longer for you to see results compared to other products with pure vitamin C. Okay, next up we've got the Ascorbyl Tetraisopalmitate solution 20% in vitamin F. So the form of vitamin C in here obviously is Ascorbyl Tetraisopalmitate, which is an oil-soluble derivative, and that's also why this is one of the only 7 that's in an oil base. Because this is one of the newest vitamin C derivatives on the market, there's not as much research about it, but the research that is out there does seem really promising. It seems like there might be some benefits for it being oil soluble because it appears to be able to actually penetrate your skin super quickly. Also, it seems promising for providing the benefits of pure vitamin C without being as sensitizing or as hard for skincare companies to formulate with. However, being a derivative that still has to convert to L-ascorbic acid, it is going to be less potent. Okay, since there's also vitamin F in the formula, we should definitely talk about that too. So vitamin F isn't really a vitamin at all. The F actually stands for fatty acids, a group of ingredients that's super moisturizing and good for restoring your skin barrier. It's great for dry skin, but a study from 2002 showed it also might help if you have mild acne, as it reduced the size of some microcomedones. So this is in an oil base, but it's a very, very lightweight oil. It doesn't feel greasy or heavy at all. If anything, it's pretty runny, so be careful when you apply it. It also has a very distinct nutty smell to it, but it is nut-free for those of you with allergies out there. So to use this, just apply a few drops to your face, and you can apply this both morning and at night. You don't have to worry about what to mix this with and what you shouldn't mix this with, because this is another one that works well with all the other active ingredients. So who's this one for? Well, because of the oil base and the vitamin F, which we know to stand for fatty acids, it's great for dry skin, but it also might be good for you if you have dry skin and mild acne. But I will say that this is one of the most expensive of the bunch, and it does have a more cutting-edge form of vitamin C, which does not have as much research to support it compared to L-ascorbic acid. The research that is out there though does look promising, but if you want to play it safe, go with an L-ascorbic acid formula. It'll save you some money too. Alright, so last but not least, the Ethylated Ascorbic Acid 15% solution. This is another water-free serum. It also only has 2 ingredients in it, propanediol and ethylated ascorbic acid, also known as EAA. But even with just those 2 ingredients, it's the most expensive one of the bunch at $18. The Ordinary claims the reason for the price jump is because of the cost of ethylated ascorbic acid itself. It's almost 30 times the cost of pure L-ascorbic acid. EAA is also in the Ordinary's higher end sister lines, Niod's Elan and Hylamide's C25. So is it really worth the price? Let's talk about the derivative in this one, ethylated ascorbic acid, which is a very stable form of vitamin C. There's really not that much research on it, but there is some showing that one of the strong points is its brightening effect, and also that it seems to be less sensitizing compared to L-ascorbic acid. In terms of the texture, again, because the base of this is propanediol, like in the ascorbic acid 8% plus 2% alpha Arbutin, it will feel kind of oily for like about 10 seconds until it gets fully absorbed into your skin, but there's actually no oil in it at all, even though it feels oily. To use it, just apply a few drops of this onto your whole face, and you can do that morning or night. And this is another one that has potential conflicts with niacinamide, EUK-134, and peptides. So who's this one for? Well, I think that this would be great for you if you were interested in a budget-friendly alternative to Niod's Elan or Hylamide's C25. But I have to be honest, I think that for $18, you're just better off getting a tried and true L-ascorbic acid serum like the ones we just talked about. Alright, so it's time for the recap since we went through 7 different products today. Let's start with the L-ascorbic acid formulas. They're all water-free and they're also more affordable. So the 2 super strong L-ascorbic acid suspension formulas in the tubes are best if you're pretty familiar with vitamin C already and you want faster results. The 23% has a grittier texture before it absorbs, but it's the better of the 2 if you really hate silicone and you want to avoid pilling. The 30% is better if you don't mind the silicone and you really hate the gritty texture. The 100% L-ascorbic acid powder is good if you're really into DIY, but like, are you really gonna use it or is it just gonna sit on your shelf? The last L-ascorbic acid formula, the L-ascorbic acid 8% plus alpha Arbutin 2% is great if you're looking to fade some hyperpigmentation. So moving on to the vitamin C derivatives, they're newer, more cutting edge, so less well researched, but they do show promise. They tend to be a little bit less sensitizing overall, but they're also more expensive. So the Ascorbyl glucoside solution 12% is the only water-based one, and it's good for all skin types, but it's the best option out there if you like a water-based serum texture or you have sensitive skin. The Ascorbyl Tetraisopalmitate solution, 20% in vitamin F, is the only oil-based one, and it's great if you have drier skin or dry skin with mild acne, but it is more expensive at $17.80. Last but not least, the Ethylated Ascorbic Acid 15% solution is good for you if you're looking for an alternative to Niod's Elan or Hylamide's C25. But at $18, I'm not sure it's really worth it for a newer derivative with not that much research backing it. I should also just quickly mention they're reformulating the magnesium ascorbyl phosphate 10% formula. Magnesium ascorbyl phosphate is one of the most studied derivatives of vitamin C, but it seemed like the base formula was a little too greasy for everyone, so that's probably why they're reformulating it right now. Overall, figuring out which one is best for you depends on your skin type, the type and concentration of vitamin C you can take, and what texture you actually like. If vitamin C is already a part of your routine, go with the tried and true pure L-ascorbic acid. If it's new for you, you might want to start with a derivative first so it's not as sensitizing. Alright, so that's it from me. Thanks so much for watching. I really hope this video was helpful for you, and if it was, don't forget to give your girl a like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any more informative skincare videos like this one. See you next time!